This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations.
The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has announced the launch of a strategy to tackle the commoditisation of the naira. CBN Governor Yemi Cardoso announced this strategy at a stakeholders meeting hosted by the Committee of Heads of Bank Operations and described the objective as aimed at restoring the status of the naira as a credible legal tender. Joining the conversation is Marcel Okeke, a former chief economist with Zenith Bank PLC. Good morning, Mr. Okeke.
Good morning. Thank you for having me on this program.
All right. And despite several efforts to stabilize the value of the naira, we've continued to see this commoditization occur. Can you assess why this has been happening?
Well, this is supposed to be a recent development, commoditization of the naira. I don't know whether it is the deposit money banks, that in their, if you like, in quotes, in their creativity or creative ways of, remaining profitable and viable, have resorted to, creating ways of, making money, even as the economy is in this kind of a shape it is today. So I wouldn't know, but I would attribute it to, the operators in the system, trying to exploit, if you like, some situations or conditions of the economy. So they keep going, even when things are tough. That's the way I can describe what is going on, the commoditization of the naira. Yes.
So, sir, we keep hearing that one of the reasons why this has happened is the scarcity of the currency, right? This was actually an assessment that was made by the chairman of the executive committee for the Committee of the Heads of Bank Operations. So they continue to talk about the scarcity of currency in banks. We've heard the CBN come out and say that if banks don't load their ATMs, they will be sanctioned. We even saw sanctions actually doled out. This was I think early this year or late in December or so. And I'm curious as to who then bears the blame, because the banks are saying scarcity, which indicates maybe CBN, but the CBN is saying that the banks are the ones not loading the currency.
Well, that's what exactly I'm saying. I don't want us to believe that the CBN is no longer, supplying the currency in the volume that it used to supply. But I'm telling you, as likely as the deposit money banks, that is why I call the operators in the system, that are rather, in quotes, legitimately being creative, in trying to make the best of the, tough times that economic agents are going through. So they are kind of trying to find ways of making money, from, several activities or sources that were not there for them before, including non-commoditization of the naira itself. So that's what I'm saying. Whether they accept it or not, to whom does the CBN send the printed currencies? It is the deposit money banks. Who spreads this currency? It's the deposit money bank. The POS operators and others who sell the currency. From where do they get them? Is it not the banks? Does these people have direct access to the Central Bank of Nigeria? No. You understand? So when you check how this money moves around, then you will be able to know who and where exactly, this input leakage is coming from. Mm-hmm. And so that's why I keep talking about deposit money banks. Thank you.
Right. So, Mr. Okeke, in terms of how money moves around and what makes it valuable, the sort of mileage that currencies like the dollar have covered mean that their currency is a lot stronger. Now, with Nigeria's, we've referred to how much has been printed. It's come up a few times in conversations. But is the demand for the naira able to? I think the question is, how does it play into the current position that we find ourselves in?
When you say demand, let me tell you, in part, that the currency, the cash itself, is being demanded, as commodity, is an indication that other digital channels are not working. You understand? Because this system is supposed to be going cashless. You understand? So
right.
It means that cashless initiative is not working as smoothly as it's supposed to work. And so people are kind of coming back, to using cash that is supposed not to be. You understand? So that means the economy, the system is going back rather than moving forward. You understand? And so people who are frustrated by the failure, in quote, of the other digital channels are now coming back to use cash. So it is the desperation to get this cash that leads to its commoditization, if you like. You understand?
Right.
So that's the reason.
Well, Mr. Okeke, I guess one thing I would like to understand is how this connects to the use and the demand, as well as the volume that we've seen of foreign currencies in Nigeria. If our own currency isn't, it's available, but it's not as in demand, what does that mean in terms of our relationship with currencies that are typically in demand for the things that countries like Nigeria need?
I have told you that what accounts for this in part is not even connected to dollar or euro or other hard currencies as such, because it is localized. It's localized. The commoditization of the naira is not connected, to the demand for dollar or other currency. But let me say, maybe, but it's subject to be verified. Those who try to, who need the dollars, try to corner the naira, because for you to get the dollar, you must, have some volumes of the local currency to make demand for it. But I now doubt whether, such relationship has to do with cash in naira. You understand? So it really does not connect. It's a different thing, and that's why we have dollarization of the Nigerian economy as a separate challenge, and commoditization of the naira now as a different challenge. You understand? Dollarization is a case of, bringing the foreign currency called dollar, greenback, if you like, to do some transactions locally here. That one is at another level, another track entirely, different from commoditization of our local currency, which I've told you part of the reasons why it is happening. So two separate, problems or challenges that the economy is facing. That's the way it is.
Mr. Okeke, thank you very much for your time and your expertise on the conversation. Marcel Okeke is a former chief economist with Zenith Bank PLC. He joined the conversation this morning to speak on the launch of a strategy by the Central Bank of Nigeria towards tackling the commoditization of the naira.
This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations.